All right, we've got some breaking news about Donald Trump's military parade in Washington, D.C., that he claims is to celebrate the 250th anniversary of the U.S. military, but it just seems rather self indulgent and masturbatory and authoritarian in its display, especially at this point in American history. If Donald Trump wanted to honor the military, he could have done 100 different things, like not called them suckers and losers, not sent out insane Memorial's Day posts, not cut the VA. That's insane. But instead, he does this masturbatory parade that looks cheap and terrible. We'll get there. But I want to jump in with how empty it was. We have no time to waste, so just check out this post from JD Vance where he says, "Quite a view." And it's a photo of his kids, which is rather sweet. A photo of his kids in front of a tank, which is not very sweet. Let me remind you, while this is happening, protesters in LA are being squashed by the LAPD and the police forces that Trump intentionally moved in. So, I mean, this entire display just comes at a very shaky time. And if you zoom in, that is an empty crowd. There's a lot of green in this photo. By green, I mean you can see the grass. Why is it so empty? MeidasTouch points out, barely a person in sight. You see the media, but behind it, there's no huge display of people. Even Harry Sisson points out in this video that the vast majority of the field behind is empty. And I have another video in just 1 second, but can I first compare this to the No Kings protests, which broke out across the country one more time. While I'm recording this, protesters in LA are currently being squashed for protesting peacefully. If you guys were at my live stream, we went live for 2.5 hours. We interviewed a bunch of protesters. The overwhelming, overarching vibe was peace. Everybody was like, hey, we should protect our neighbors. We should love our neighbors. It was actually very, very sweet. And Donald Trump, in contrast, is breaking up protests in LA, is holding this military display that honestly falls flat on its face. I'll explain why it falls flat on its face for a few reasons soon, but check out this crowd. This is huge. That's just one street. That is a massive, massive crowd. What about this? Joshua on Twitter says, "I'm floored. This is one stretch of one side of the street in deep red, small town Knoxville, Tennessee today. This is a city that Trump won in 2024 by 20 plus points. The scope of these protests are massive. Americans from both sides of the aisle are pissed. There shall be no kings." Let's watch this clip. Wow. Watch this time lapse as he drives down. That is an insane amount of people. You know, it was a nice display of creativity too, at a time when everything's pretty grim, to have all of these signs. But even beyond that, to get more serious, I want to point out that while that was happening, Trump's disgusting display devolved into something a little bit weirder. He then began to swear in a group of new and re-enlisting U.S. Army grads, and it's cultish.
I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America.
What is this guy talking about? One of his first actions when he got into office was passing an executive order that just overturned birthright citizenship, which is a constitutional right, and it immediately got shot down in the Supreme Court. Like, hell no, you can't just do this. Donald Trump spit on the peaceful transfer of power and everything the Constitution stands for when he claimed the 2020 election was rigged with widespread election fraud, then presented zero evidence, lost court case after court case, and continued to get a mob of his supporters to try to kill Mike Pence while Mike Pence was certifying the election results. I'm sorry, but the Constitution was upheld by Mike Pence that day. I'll say that, but not by Donald Trump. So this is a disgusting, disgusting display. Donald Trump is expanding executive power, and the No Kings protests pushed back against that. Look at this. Look at this massive crowd. Incredibly impressive. But Donald Trump holds a military parade off the back of these accusations of him expanding executive power over the past 6 months. But can I just show you, the military parade looks really cheap. It reminds me of like a little kid playing with military tanks. These look like figurines standing in front of a cheap yellow background like it was supposed to be gold for Trump or whatever. Here is Marco Rubio sitting there with Linda McMahon shaking her head. Why is he sitting there manspreading like it's so serious? And then here again are JD Vance's kids with the empty crowd. Can I show you the video that Harry Sisson posted with this empty crowd? The crowds for Trump's birthday parade is tiny. They claim 200,000 people would show up to celebrate, and it doesn't even look like 1,000 people showed up. How embarrassing for MAGA. No Kings blew this out of the water. Look at this. So you see some people in the front, but as you zoom out, it just gets increasingly empty. I think empty might be an understatement. Nobody cares. It turns out unifying around democracy is a little bit more energizing than unifying around military equipment and authoritarian regimes. I mean, what is Trump thinking? Trump ran on no new wars. Trump ran on this isolationist foreign policy of, we're just going to remove America and military force is whatever. We don't have to support Ukraine. And he wants to do this military display after weaponizing the military in the United States against our own protesters. Why did this dude think that his own fan base would like the military? His fan base isn't Mike Pence anymore. His fan base is no longer Nikki Haley. His fan base is the isolationist person who doesn't trust the military or the government, except when it's weaponized against people they disagree with, like us. Now, again, just laugh. You just have to laugh at Trump's birthday celebration being absolutely empty compared to the parade for democracy, the parade for America, which I would argue was great. Very quickly, I spoke to some amazing, amazing people. I met a lot of you all. I appreciated every single person who came up to me. I wish I could meet everybody, but the overarching theme of the people there was like love for thy neighbor, again, peace, acceptance, inclusion. And I've been to a lot of MAGA rallies, and while yes, people can be nice on an individual level, oftentimes the policies that they advocate for are rather cruel. So going to this No Kings protest and seeing like-minded individuals all working towards a similar goal, seeing like-minded protests across the country breaking out, I think is a great day for democracy. I think it is a great day to show Trump where the cards currently lie as we head into the midterms. Remember, for the people that say there's no point in voting in the midterms, democracy is dead, I disagree. We need to vote because even in Wisconsin a few months ago, Republicans got obliterated in a Supreme Court race. Obliterated by like 8 or 9 points because we went out and we voted. And Elon Musk was pissed, and that was part of the reason they pushed him out. Even after that, we can mobilize, we can phone bank, and in the midterms, we show Trump where the true power lies. The point is, after the election, a lot of people were commenting in my section like, game over. It's game over for America and American democracy. But I would make the argument that the game is kind of just beginning. The game of democracy is just ramping up, and we can find new avenues to fight back. I want to show you this article about Tim Walz. Tim Walz said the road to authoritarianism says sternly worded letters. He's basically saying the time for sternly worded letters is over. We can no longer just be soft. Quote, I am not prone to hyperbole. I am prone to popping off a bit. I know that, Waltz said, prefacing his argument that Americans are living in dangerous times. I believed all along we were marching towards authoritarianism, and people were telling me in December, you're overreacting. The road to authoritarianism is littered with people telling you you're overreacting. So I want to leave it at this. The time for sternly worded letters is over. It's time to mobilize. It's time to have our voices heard. You guys can be a part of that. Drop a like. Make sure you subscribe below. Love all of you. Peace out.